Welcome to our YouTube channel, where wisdom meets inspiration. In this channel, we share valuable insights to help you become the best version of yourself.
Good evening. I'm very happy to be here in IIT Kanpur. And it's a bit ironical that I will be talking on relationships to all of you who are in one way or another in some kind of relationship, and I'm a monk who is away from all kinds of social relationships. So this is a bit ironical, but sometimes you understand a problem better when you are away from that problem, when you outgrow the problem. It gives you better clarity and better understanding. So I'll try to talk about certain issues in relationships, and I invite you to a discussion after that. So if we talk about relationships, the first thing we think about is how to manage a relationship, and this very idea of managing a relationship tells us much about the problem at hand. That we have to manage it somehow, that we have to somehow get along with a person. We have to put on with the idea of being together. This itself gives us a lot of understanding of the problem. It is not that you become the other person, it's not that the other person understands you 100%, but that you want to arrive at a workable solution to carry on the 50-50 partnership, if at all that is the ideal situation, across in life in the future. So managing, and that exactly is the problem, that we do not want to give away our individuality or our ego, and we want to somehow manage the problem so that it doesn't, as we say, it doesn't cross the tipping point, it doesn't become something which will explode. So here we come to the main problem of any relationship, any kind of relationship or any kind of interaction. You see, interaction of any kind, material, non-material, human, non-human, occurs between two entities, and that means that any relationship requires that there are two entities involved. There is a duality involved, and this is the basis of all confusion. The confusion comes when you see somebody separate from yourself, when you do not find any kind of identity with the other. Philosophers have, across centuries, both in India and abroad, talked about the concept of the other, quote unquote. So the other is the entire problem. When I see you, I see an audience, some very alert, some not so alert, and some audience who are yet to come. So I position myself as me vis-a-vis you all people, with the danger, of course, that if I am going to bore you at length, then you will all come and pounce upon me. So there are various other dangers also. But this is what happens when I talk about, or when we talk about, any kind of relationship. It's like the tiger and the person whom the tiger met in the forest and did not do anything because it found that it was not very sumptuous meal. It just ignored that person because it was like kurkure, as I was telling to some friends here. So that kind of a relationship, and that is when we get the concept of duality. That is why in the Upanishads we see that all kinds of emotions, human emotions like fear, love, respect, every kind of emotion arises when there is the concept of duality, when there are two people. We have to first understand, to understand any relationship, we have to understand that this whole idea of relationship is based on the idea of duality or the idea of the other. So we have to outgrow the very concept of relationship to be in a healthy relationship. The moment you see that I have to understand the other person, who is the smart boy or the beautiful girl, that starts the problem. Their problems start. So duality is something which we have to at least intellectually outgrow. And the other problem is ourselves. We are the problem. Why? Swami Vivekananda in one place, while talking about Jnana Yoga, he says, the problem of human life is centered on the idea of individuality. When you as students get into the lecture hall of any professor, you get into a conflict with the professor because you as an individual are trying to come to terms with another individual. It's quite a tussle of minds, and this personality creates problem. And psychologically speaking, in our personality, to begin with, that is mote taur par, we have two types of personality. One is the actual personality and another one is the imagined personality. And this imagined personality, actual personality, there is always some kind of difference. You imagine yourself to be someone who you are not in actuality, and that difference creates rift in personality, and that difference is the source point of all kinds of personality problems, personality disorders. And that again causes problem or friction in your relationships, because you assume or you show yourself to be someone which you are not. And when you get into a relationship, particularly an intimate relationship, the real personality starts showing up, and then there is a big conflict between you and the other person with whom you are in a relationship. So one more thing which is very important, apart from understanding that all the problems are created by the other, or the understanding that there is somebody else, is the idea that to begin with you have to understand yourself completely, at least in a workable manner, to get into any healthy relationship. This was a reference to one film where it's called where a person puts on a mask and does all kinds of activity. There are so many films, but this one. And relationship, again, this, there is like a heart kind of thing. So what we do is this. Here we enter into a conflict, and out of that conflict we try to build a relationship of love. And that is never possible, but that's what we do. In fact, many people believe that in a relationship of love, some kind of quarrels are necessary. That is why you have the idea that this was my first fight and that was my second fight, and all people note it down, and how many useless things people can do. This is one example. So this very idea of turning into a conflict into some kind of love is again wrong. Why? Because you are stressing upon the duality. You are stressing on the separateness of two individuals to arrive at a healthy relationship, which you cannot do, which is not possible. To begin with, you are already positing, you are already believing that we are separate and we can never be together, and you enjoy being separate. You kind of celebrate the separateness, and that is not possible. So if ever you want to bring that heart, you have to bring that by becoming one as a personality, and that is what you have to work at. So for that, you should know your personality well, and you should know the personality of the other person well, and similarly the other person should know one's own personality and your personality. Now you see, this is a statement of Swami Vivekananda, and it is important here. Earlier when I came to this institution, I had already talked about this statement, but here it becomes more important because we are talking about relationships per se. What is love? Because as you understand very well that relationships of any kind are based on love, or at least they should be based on love. So what is love? So there are certain things in life which we think we all know of. Like if you fall ill, if you start coughing, then if you say are in your hall, in your hostel, Anybody who comes across you will say, अच्छा तुमने ये लिया, अच्छा तुमने वो cold cough लिया, अच्छा तुमने आंवला खाया. And there will be all kinds of prescriptions starting from allopathy, homeopathy, and as one Swami of Ramakrishna order says, curopathy. Anything which cures you is curopathy. He says, I believe in only two pathis. One is curopathy and umapathy. So umapathy means, you know who umapathy is, Shiva. So that kind of prescription by everybody, that is one thing which we think we understand. Another thing which we think we understand is cooking. Everybody has got something to tell about any kind of food they are offered. They may not be good cooks themselves, but they have something. Oh, इसमें मीठा कम था, इसमें तीखा ज़्यादा हो गया, इसमें नमक कम था वगैरह. And similarly, there is something which we all think we know about is love. We think we all know about love. Though it may be another situation that we, keep on breaking relationships, but we think we know about love. And what is that? Our kind of love is when somebody calls us, and if I am talking to my professor, say somebody calls somebody else and the person is talking to a professor or in the middle of some important conversation, and then this call comes again and again. I don't understand the logic. Suppose somebody is busy in phone, why do you keep on calling the person? And how is it logical? But even all great people like IITians do that always. You keep on calling, no? And then you see that there are 13 missed calls. And then you call them, पहले क्यों नहीं किया phone? किससे बात कर रहे थे? That is our kind of idea of love. And then if you get mad, you will immediately unfriend in Facebook. Somebody said that मैंने तो अपना पूरा security देख लिया, मैंने unfriend कर दिया है, उससे बात. So like if you unfriend a person from Facebook, like it is equivalent to getting somebody killed, contract killing जैसा. तो उसको अनफ्रेंड कर दिया, खत्म कहानी, अब मेरा कोई उससे लेना देना नहीं है, बस मैंने अपने मोबाइल में भी फोन नंबर जो है काट दिया. So this is our idea of love. But Swami Vivekananda says, can you love? He says, that is the question. So you say, like we have so many dialogues and there are so many sites of love quotations. No, you have quotations like now there are sites with love SMS. What people do generally is they go to a site from which you can send an SMS. They go to this site, from there control C, control V or send, and so happy. And then you see that in Facebook, base diya message, some cute photo with some heart and all that. And there are of course so many people with nothing to do. So you find so many websites with so many love quotations and so many people doing this. And Facebook is full of that. So full of love everywhere. Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. So full of love everywhere, still there are so many people who need counseling. So I don't understand. Anyway, so our love is, Mary, I love you, मैंने तो आपके लिए जान दे दिया. And love is something on which Hollywood, Bollywood and all people keep on making movies. I mean, there is no end to movies on the concept of love. And then Swamiji says, you say that, but the moment you see Mary kissing somebody else, you say that you want to cut the throat of the other man. I love you, but how can somebody else kiss you? So I will cut the throat of other man. And then if Mary sees John talking to another girl, that is another situation. No, it's not only from man to girl. It's also girl. Girl sees somebody talking to another person. See, girl has no problem if the person with whom you talk or you do the project is a man. But the moment the person with whom you are doing a project is a girl, then all hell breaks loose, as they say. So then you should not spend so much time. No, you should not do this thing and that. So what happens? She cannot sleep at night and she makes life hell for John. This is love. That is what we think, no? So now this is also another idea that, oh, you are becoming possessive. So that means you are loving me. This is the idea, modern idea, that somebody is loving means he's become possessive. Oh, you become possessive, so nice. Oh, you're jealous. That means you're loving me. You're jealous, so you're jealous, that means you're into a relationship. It's absolute crap. Swami Vivekananda says, no, that is not love. He says, he uses a quite strong language. He says, this is barter and sale in sex. It is blasphemy to talk of this as love. So he does not mince words, as he never did. He calls this prostitution, plain and simple. He says this is barter and sale in the name of love. It is not. It is barter and sale of sex. It's not love. Welcome to the real world, no? As they say in Matrix. Welcome to reality. So this is what it is. You may think that this is love. Now I will take you to a little neurology. Our brain is programmed in a particular way to think. And we have two levels of thinking. Again, mote taur par. Very broadly speaking, we have two levels of thinking. One is which is called the instinctual thinking, which is a lower level of your brain activity, somewhere near the amygdala. And the other level of thinking is somewhere near the interpretative cortex of your brain. So the interpretative cortex is something which makes you human being, it's the evolved thinking, and the amygdala is something which is a primitive thinking, where you have instincts to save your body, you have instincts to fetch for food, and so on and so forth. This whole idea of procreation, keeping the species, continuing the species, etc., is in this instinctual level of your brain. And that is why whenever a man sees a woman or a woman sees a man, there is this, there is this unknown feeling, there is this automatic feeling to attract or to look smart in the eyes of the other. This comes from the animal feeling which was there in the jungle. So this has got nothing human in it. It is quite very animal and it is quite very brutish. And that is why whenever you see somebody of the opposite gender, you feel a desire or an urge to prove that you are in a position to be a partner of the opposite gender. And that is not love. It is pure need to procreate. So if you are a human being, I think, as Swami Vivekananda does, that your idea of love should be based on something higher than that. Your idea of love should not be merely just because you have seen a body of the opposite gender. And that is where Swamiji says that that is not love, it is prostitution. And I am sure that no human being in his or her sane mind would want to end up in a relationship for a lifetime in an idea of exchange of some kind of physical activity just for the sake of procreation, or in the idea of having prostitution in the name of love. So then what is love? Swami Premanandaji, one of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, once went to Dhaka, and he went there, and because his name was Premananda, he was talking about so many other things, and because he was called Premananda, a person from the audience got up and said, Swamiji, can you talk anything about prema or love? And Swami said, yes, I can talk. He became grave and he said, yes, I can talk, but can you give me the price of love? And he said, the audience asked, what is the price? He said, your head. Your head is the price of love. Can you sacrifice? Can you give up your life? And if you can, then you are truly in love. So you see, now you understand most of the problems we have in our life today. As I love to say of one life cycle, Shankaracharya, who propounded Advaita Vedanta, talks about life cycle, cycles of life and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jathare shayanam. You come to this world again, take life, that is the Indian tradition which believes in rebirth. You again die, you go back and again come, again die. Punarapi janani, jathare shayanam, you go into the womb of your mother and stay there for 9 months. This is how Shankaracharya says. But welcome to the modern world, we have a different kind of cycle. What is it called? It is called, of course it is total copyright with me and not yet patented. So this is called FRC. What is that? Facebook relationship cycle. What is it? So Facebook, first is single of course, then in a relationship, then committed, then married of course, then complicated, then again single. So this is what happens. This is Facebook relationship cycle. So we are now in lots and lots of n numbers of Facebook relationship cycles because of a lack of understanding of what true love is, and because of the lack of our willingness to sacrifice for love. Our kind of love is, now most of the people know that a person is always in the safe side. So there is plan A, plan B, plan C, and so on and so forth. So I have this person, okay, अगर वो नहीं चली तो ये, और ये नहीं चले तो वो, और वो नहीं चले तो ये, और कुछ नहीं चले तो फिर माँ बाप तो हैं ही, वो कुछ तो अरेंज मैरिज करवा ही देंगे. So this kind of a safe bet situation where I have got all things taken care of doesn't lead us anywhere. So Swamiji says, what is the kind of love we are looking at? We're looking at this kind of love, the love a mother has for her child. Swamiji uses a very wonderful imagery. He says that a mother who is probably afraid of a dog, while walking on the road, she is probably afraid of a dog, and even before the dog barks, when it says squeak muing, the woman is afraid and she goes away. But when she sees that the child is in the mouth or near a tiger wants to have some snacks and sees the baby and comes and pounces at the baby, at that time mother goes almost into the mouth of the tiger and saves her. That is love. That is love. And that is true love. And if you can give up your everything for someone, if you can completely give up your personality for someone, if you can give up all your ideas, beliefs, everything for someone, then that is true love. Now here again comes the question, how many of us are really even ready to love? I'm not talking about make love, sorry, but I'm talking about to love. How many of us are even ready to do this? How many of us are even ready to be into a relationship, if relationship means this, where I am in a position to give up everything for quote unquote the other with whom I am in a relationship? How many of us are even ready to do that? And every time, no, that was not a question, I was like figuratively asking. Now somebody lifted the hand. पता नहीं, अब जिसके कोई गर्लफ्रेंड नहीं है वो तो आराम से, people who are having girlfriends, they are thinking, हाँ ये तो बात सही है, CCD और वो सब पिज्जा ठीक है, लेकिन ये बात तो है कुछ इसमें. तो anyway, so CCD and Pizza Hut have done a lot of business because of this sweet nothings you talk over coffee. A lot can happen over coffee, quote unquote again. So now this question is always coming. It looms large in front of us. What is love? And are we ready to love in this sense? Now you will understand that most of us are loving in a different sense, and our love is very convenient. Our love is like, there's bogies of this Indian Railways. Anytime we can detach. It's called shunting or whatever. So you can detach anytime. Jab man kiya to chal diye. And it's quite simple. You just unfriend in Facebook. Now another thing is, why do we lack love? Yeah, I will come to the interaction part afterwards a little more. Why do we lack love? Because one thing which you see, at least I see, unfortunately, across institutions, across the country, is that you go to an institution and ask any young people, any young person, give me a plan of the next 5 years of your life. This question I always ask, and I always get, always, mind you, always I get the same answer: I don't have any plan. I don't have any plan. So this is the very dismal picture we have. For the next 5 years to bhul jao, next 5 days ka mere ko koi plan nahi hai. And like in institutions which are called very premier institutions like IITs or IIMs, I find that people have ended up there. People are there because ye acha tha, humne coaching ki and we came here, but I don't have any plan for the next year or the year thereafter. And that again is a problem. You don't have an ideal, you have never been passionate about any ideal, so how can you be passionate about a person? So if you have to have love in your life, if you have to be in a relationship, first of all, you should know how to be passionate for some cause, for some ideal. It can be any ideal, it can be any small thing. Ideals need not be very big. It can be anything. But you should know how to be passionate for a particular cause. And if you know that, then you will be in a position to understand love in terms of love in a relationship. Another thing where we fail is, the moment somebody says love, the moment I said that you should be able to give everything for the person whom you love, or the person with whom you are in a relationship, all of you got imageries from a lot of Hollywood and Bollywood movies, and you suddenly forgot this one thing which is called practicality. This is where we find ourselves in a problem. We want to love, but our idea of love is very rosy. It's all too good feeling love. And when we are in the real world, we are at once faced with the challenges of the real world, and we understand that no, in real life love means something else. And that is where you have to give. That is where you have to sacrifice. Sacrifice doesn't mean that sacrifice will come up all at once. Sacrifices in tits and bits. Every moment of life you have to understand the other person and give some way for the other person, and sacrifice in small measures. So that is where we lack. We think that practically, तुम्हारे लिए मैं छत से कूद जाऊंगा, तुम्हारे लिए मैं तारे को तोड़ के लाऊंगा, etc., etc. That doesn't really help in the real world. In real world, what kind of sacrifice is necessary? Suppose your partner is working in a company and he or she gets a promotion and is asked to transfer to some place. How much are you ready to sacrifice? Now, I see in India that this sacrifice is always from the part of the gender which is fairer. But that is unfair. Why should only the fair sex, as they say, why should only women sacrifice for men? Does it happen the other way? Even among youngsters, big no. No, it doesn't happen. So again, sacrifice. If somebody has to, like from the men point of view, if a person is working in the office and you have some other work, can you not do some part of the work which is quote unquote men kind of work? Or if the wife is working somewhere else and she is also very busy, can you not do some part of the work like cooking and all, which is quote unquote, I don't know why they call it that, woman kind of work? That is true sacrifice. Sacrifice doesn't mean that you have to give up your body or you donate your blood or some part of your body, etc., to the other person. That kind of sacrifice is a very romantic sacrifice, but it happens only in Bollywood and Hollywood. In true life, sacrifices come in real small amounts and every day throughout your life. Then again, there is a wonderful song in Bengali that how much pain have you suffered that you will understand about love. So you see, pain again, to understand love, you should be ready to bear pain for the sake of love, for the sake of the other person. That also we are not ready to do. We are ready to be in a relationship only as long as the relationship is बहुत अच्छा and gives me this feel good feeling. The moment the relationship involves some kind of pain or suffering, probably I will be the first person to quit. So that again is a problem. Then you have the problem of course sacrifice, which I have talked about already. Then we always love, as I said, our love is not integral or holistic love. Our love is love for fighting. And that is why we write, in our journals, pehla jhagda, dusra jhagda, etc., if at all people write. And then you have a very important concept which always we forget. Every time we come up with the question of the secret of concentration. What is the secret of being devoted or focused on a particular topic? Swami Sarvapriyananda taught you some things about concentration. But the key to concentration is not meditation. See, Swami Vivekananda talks about that. See, we all watch movies, we all watch serials, we all play games, we all watch T20 matches. Do we actually meditate before watching a movie? Do we actually meditate before watching a serial? No, we don't. But we are glued to the movie, particularly if the movie is of an actor or actress of your liking. So then why do we say that meditation is necessary for concentration? Because somewhere down the line that is what we have thought, that is what we think. But what do you need for concentration? You need love. You need lots and lots of love and passion for that particular topic, and then you can do that particular thing. And that is why love, according to Swami Vivekananda, is the basis of all work. Ask any person, like you had Arunima Sinha come here. So why did she go? Why did she scale that Mount Everest? Because she had passion. She was very passionate about it. She had that love for that. Why did Swami Vivekananda leave everything and work for the country, for the masses? Because he was passionate. He was having that love. So all people who take up something and work do that because they love that thing. So you need to develop love, not only as a love, as an element, a major element in relationship, but also love which will be percolating throughout your life, because whatever you do, their love will be there. Why is it important while we manage relationships? Because if you have some passion for the work which you are doing, it will become very easy for you to bring that passion into your relationship also. Otherwise it will not be that easy. And then this thing we totally lack, which is called patience. And patience we lack in a very big way, in a major way. So we lack patience in almost everything. So you send a SMS or you send a missed call and you wait for nanoseconds, or may not wait for nanoseconds to get that return call. No, you send an email and a person can check the mail inbox like 1,000 times a day. That is why in some countries it is banned. In workplaces you can check mail only 2 times a day. So we have become completely impatient. And that is why we cannot stand. Everything has to become fast, instant. And that thing is problematic in a relationship. Most of the things, like one Swami, he gave me a very wonderful tip. He said, whenever there is some kind of tension between you and somebody else, just give it 3 days. 3 days. And then you will see that it will all water down. It will all shant ho jayega. Why? That is what happens. So when you talk, then you say something and the other person says something and you say something and the other person says something. It goes on and on. It's like a volley. Then what happens? It's wonderful how human memory can work. You don't remember things which you need to remember in your work or education. But when you fight again, then you remember correctly what the other person told in the earlier fight. Exact things you remember. Tune tab aise kaha tha, again all points will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you see, that is what happens. You don't have patience. And what happens? Both of you are feeling very bad. So what you should do is, you just switch off the phone or cut off the phone and just give it some time. 2 hours and 3 hours. And always what happens is the other person is all love for you. And then kahan chaloge, kya khaoge, etc., etc. So patience is very important in life in general, but also in relationship in particular. And very important thing, we all know this, is that I expect so much of my professor, but when I become a professor myself, do I deliver that? So similarly, I expect so much of my partner, but do I deliver even so much percentage of what I expect? So this 50-50 thing, always self-analysis, introspection, whether I actually am doing what I expect of the other person. That also is a very important thing. Then you have not asking anything. You see, this example of a baby, Swami Vivekananda, when he talks about leadership, he says, lead like a baby. So in a house where there is a small baby, everyone is fondling the baby, everyone is saying, oh, kaise ho, aise bolte na. So everyone is concentrating on the baby, but the baby doesn't want anything. But the baby is the leader of the house. Everyone decides what to do or not according to the baby's needs. And the baby is blissfully unaware of all these things and probably walking, roaming naked and all that. Similarly, if you have some kind of unselfishness, not some kind of, if you're unselfish, you will be able to control the other person. But what we do, even when I'm telling you this, you are all enamored by the words control, not about unselfishness part. So you have to be unselfish, you have to always give, and then you will understand that you are actually the person who will be leading. So that is again a very important component of relationship. And some kind of madness is always necessary. Like in advertisement, they say advertisement is being methodical, but being mad actually. but having a method in your madness. So similarly, love also needs a lot of madness, because when I said passion, always logic doesn't, justify what you do. So sometimes you have to go beyond logic. You have to be mad. You have to, love that person madly. And sometimes some people will tell you something which makes absolutely no sense. And this also has got so many things about women and man psychology, and thousands and thousands of pages have been written on that, so I'm not going into that. But sometimes people will tell something which is illogical. They will tell, हाँ मैंने तब बताया था. Somehow in relationships, truths and lies are all mixed up. It's all very fantastic. So you have to be very, very mad, very, very passionate for that other person, and then only the whole relationship can work. If there is some lukewarmness, some little reduction of passion in the relationship, then the other person cannot understand that, and somehow there is a way by which all people understand that there is some kind of reduction in passion, and that doesn't work. So another thing again is, true love knows no fear. If you truly love a person, you will not fear. Fear not in the sense of कि वहाँ से कूद जाऊंगा या इसको मार दूंगा, but fear in the sense of you will take up all kinds of risks for that particular ideal or for that particular person. And a thing which is very important in today's context is, you see, human beings are not like pigs or dogs or donkeys. Pigs and dogs and donkeys are all having this roti, kapda and makan. Eating and sleeping and procreating. That is the only mission of these animals. But human beings are definitely higher than that. But unfortunately, we have forgot that. Look at our media, look at our culture, look at our literature, look at our movies, look to what direction we are going into. For us, everything is the body, 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 body. You stand in front of the mirror probably more hours than you stand in front of any person, because nowadays you are always virtually present but not physically present. So you always are applying that cream, this cream, you are looking at your hairstyle this way, that way, you are doing this thing, that thing to impress the other person. So always and always you are trying to emphasize the idea that you are the body. And that is why when we come to relationship, what is important for us, most of the people in the world today, is only the physical aspect of that relationship, not any other aspect. All other aspects are completely ignored. You look at only the physical aspect of a particular relationship, and you are aware of only the physical dimension of a particular relationship. That is why people will get into a relationship with people who have the conventional ideas of beauty. Why I say conventional idea of beauty? Because beauty, as they say, is not exactly in how you look, but exactly how you behave. But people always go for the conventional ideas of beauty, and there is a big struggle to develop six packs and go into size 0 and bring this cosmetic and that cosmetic. And wherever I see, I only see either Aishwarya Rai or Shah Rukh Khan. I don't see an ordinary person at all. I always see people trying to become heroes or heroines. It's very difficult in India today to find an ordinary person. So everybody wants to flaunt the physical aspect of one's personality. Just scratch the skin and you see that the whole thing is hollow. They have no idea of great ideals. They have not got great understanding of any culture. It's just all showing the outer appearance. So usse nahi chalega. So that is why the very core, as I started from the concept of duality, the very core of relationship is that you are perceiving that you are different from the other. And that very idea creates problem. And similarly, we cannot have a healthy relationship if you are going to put this relationship only at the physical level. I carefully selected this picture of a tribal couple who are very happy. See, look at their faces. They don't look like Salman Khan or Aishwarya Rai, but they are quite happy, and they are Yeah, they are living even now today, but they are very aged and near death. So what I am telling you is, we have to understand the true aspect of love, the true aspect of a relationship, and that only can lead you to a healthy relationship.